Alright, so I'm going to show how we can load data into an API from a client. Instead of writing a client in this one, I'm using Postman to kind of simulate those requests. It lets me send post requests and put requests and various other requests as well. But we're just worrying about the get and post ones for the minute, and I can change various different bits of the request as well, like the body, which we'll be adding some data to for the post part of it. So I'm going to open up a new folder. So just on my Z drive, add basics, I'll call it. Okay. In here, I'm going to create a new folder called backend as somewhere to work in. And then I'm going to create a new file called server.js. There we go. And I'm going to right click the backend and I'm going to click open an integrated terminal to open that down here so I can view it. In here, I'm going to run a command to install some bits and bobs. We're going to need to do npm install express, nodemon, cause, and mongodb. So I'll just give those a second to install. So we're going to set up a basic express.js application just running from this server.js. So we're not going to end up with loads of like root folders or anything like that, just from this. We're going to import express from express. We also need to import cause from cause. I need MongoDB because I'm going to be sending my data to a database. So I'm going to do Mongo client from MongoDB, and I need to set my URL that I'm going to be using for my database. So I'm just going to type that out now. $27017 and a slash. Cool. And open up MongoDB Compass as well while I'm at it. I think I already have some data in the database that I'm going to be using. So I just connect to it, and it's basics database. So I've got a basics database with a collection called basics in there, and we're going to do a kind of to-do list type of thing. So it's going to have a bunch of things that we need to do. All right. To get it loading any data or to get it running, we need to create our app. So const app is going to be express app.useCause. Right, will allow us to make requests from different app.useCause will allow us to make requests from different URLs. We need to say that we're going to be using express.json. And we also need to say we're going to be using express.url encoded, and we'll set extended to true as well as part of that. So that's configured our app. Then we need to run it. So we can do app.listen, right, to tell it to listen on a specific port or port number to listen on. So we'll use 3000. And when it runs, we'll just output that the server is running. Oh. Console.log. Server is running on http://localhost 3000. Cool. So in my command line down here, I can type nodemon server.js, and that will launch my server. Okay, app.use is not a function. Oh, because I need a brackets after express there. There we go. So it says server's running, but if we open it, we don't have any actual directories to go to. So I'm going to do app.get. I'm going to define the first directory, which is just going to be slash, and we'll have this as an async function, which takes in a request, a response, and we'll do something with it. So when we receive a request, it's going to come in here, and we give a response for the response variable. So we'll say response.json to reply with some JSON data. Message is going to be hello world. So if we make a request to this using Postman, we can go to localhost 3000 and we can send a request there, and we didn't get any kind of response. 3000 it needs. There we go. So there we go. We get a response. So the raw data, or the data that we defined as part of the response here. So we can get that data back from the server on that URL. So the first one I'm going to do is a URL that gets me this data from the server. So we're going to do app.get/todo with our asynchronous function with a request and a response. We connect to our database with our URL. We say which database we're using. Basics, I believe it was. Yep. We say which collection in that database we're using, the database.collection, and again, basics. This is going to return everything within our to-do list in the database. So we can put that into a variable called data, and we're going to await collection.find will find everything within a collection. .toArray converts that to an array, so we can just res.json that data. So now if I go to in Postman, if I go to localhost 3000/todo, I should get back all of the data that's in the database. So all this data gets returned to me. So that's getting the data from the database now. If we want to input some data into the database, we can do that as so. So we want to do an app.post request /todo and async request and response. Alright. So when a request gets made through Post, we are sending data to that server in that case. Any data that gets sent through, so we're going to add our data into here through our body, okay? And it's going to come through as a key. So our key is going to be thing, so the thing we want to do, and the value of that thing. So feed the cat, okay? So that's the data we're going to be sending to the server in a minute. When that data comes in, it comes in within the request.body. Okay, so the request.body will contain everything that's being sent to the server within the body of it here, within this URL form unencoded, URL encoded. So I can console.log that data for a second. We'll see what that does. We'll just res.json as well, something so it works properly as well. Just do message stuff. Okay, so we'll make that request now. So I'm changing it from a get to a post request, and I'm clicking send, and there we go. And we can see now we've received the response from the server, and we can also see that the server's got that data as well. So if I want to see what the thing is, I can do var thing is going to be request.body.thing. Alright, and we want to put that into the database. So we do our same thing again that we did, var client equals new Mongo client with our URL. Our database is client.db, var collection database.collection. And now to insert something, we need to await, because we need to wait for it to be finished. Then we can do collection.insert one, because we only want to insert one item. Okay, and we can set thing to be request.body.thing. And once we've inserted it, we can then find everything again and return to the user what it is going to be once it's updated with that new data that we've added in. So we'll return back that new data. So now I can insert that into the database. If I click send, there we go. We have the original 2 things in the database that we had before, but we've also got the feeding the cat, which we've just added to the database. And we can change that to like, I don't know, take out the bins, send it again, and there we go. It's now been added to that list of things that we need to do. So that is getting this information to the server and returning data back from the server as well.